The sun was too bright for Mother's Day. It bleached the fake wood cabinets in the kitchen. I hated that light. It showed every smear of grease, every dust bunny waiting to breed. I was wearing the gray sweatpants with the hole in the knee, the ones Jake hated. Good. He wasn't here. He hadn't been here in 4 years. I poured the coffee. Too bitter. My hands were already shaking, not from caffeine, but from the low, grinding dread that every holiday brings. It's the dread of performing happiness. The kids, Brooklyn, 18, and Ethan, 15, were still upstairs, moving slow. They always moved slow when they knew a performance was required. The counter was cluttered. A wilted bunch of drugstore carnations, Jake's mandatory low-effort gesture sent via DoorDash. They smelled like wet paper and disappointment. I pushed them aside, the plastic wrapper crinkling loud enough to be annoying. I picked up the phone. It was sticky with something. Syrup from breakfast yesterday, maybe. I didn't care. I wasn't looking for anything specific, just the usual low-grade scrolling. Maybe a nice post from Brooklyn. She was good at those. Sentimental, but not too gooey. I hit Instagram. My thumb was stiff. The screen flashed bright, hurting my eyes even though the blinds were half shut. First scroll. Aunt Carol posted a picture of her cat. Fine. Second scroll. A high school friend bragging about brunch. I skipped it. Third scroll. Wait. It was Sarah Taggart, a mutual friend. Sarah was always tagging people in everything. I saw the photo preview. It was low resolution, filtered through something aggressively cheerful. I clicked. The blood drained out of my face so fast I thought I might hit the linoleum floor, the floor that needed mopping. It was Brooklyn and Ethan, standing in front of Jake's new McMansion, the beige nightmare house outside of Dallas. They looked fine. They were wearing clothes Vanessa had clearly bought them. New, stiff jeans, matching expensive sneakers. They were smiling the way teenagers smile when they are told to smile for a picture, like hostages. And there she was, Vanessa, Jake's wife, the Stepford clone who perfected her blonde highlights every Tuesday. She had her hand resting lightly, proprietarily, on Ethan's shoulder. Her other arm was looped through Brooklyn's. The caption was the problem. The words hit me like physical blows. My breath hitched. Celebrating motherhood today with my 2 sweet babies. Feeling so blessed to have this crew. Thank you for making every day the best day, my loves. Mother's Day. My babies. Bonus mom life. My babies. I reread it 3 times. The sticky phone felt heavy, like a smooth, hot stone in my palm. Vanessa. Calling my children her babies. On Mother's Day. I could feel the heat rising up my neck. A terrible, prickly fire. It started in my stomach, knotting itself into a dense, cold ball, and then spread outward. My skin felt too tight. I stabbed the like button. No, I didn't want to like it. I wanted to burn the internet down. I tried to type a comment. My fingers flew over the keyboard, adrenaline surging. Excuse me, Vanessa. Those are my children. I gave birth to them. You are their stepmother. I hit send. An error message popped up. Small white box. Generic text. Comment failed to post. I tried again. Comment failed to post. I tried to go to her profile directly. I searched her stupid, carefully curated username, Vanessa's Texas Life. The search results came up blank. The blood went cold again. She hadn't just posted the photo. She had proactively blocked me. Before she even hit post, she had made sure I couldn't see it, couldn't comment, couldn't interfere with her little fantasy. But she missed the mutual friend tag. She was sloppy. She was arrogant. She knew exactly what she was doing. It was deliberate. A public declaration of ownership, timed for maximum emotional devastation. I staggered back, bumping into the cheap, particle-board kitchen island. My hip hit the corner painfully. I didn't notice the pain. I looked at the coffee cup, still full. I picked it up and threw the contents straight into the stainless steel sink. The crash and splatter sounded muffled, far away. I needed air. I walked into the living room. The cheap, faded floral couch looked pathetic in the morning light. The whole house suddenly felt small, cramped, and poor, like a cage built specifically to highlight how much better Vanessa's beige nightmare was. My phone rang. Jake. Of course. 5 minutes too late. I ignored it. I needed to see the post again. I snatched the phone and went back to Sarah Taggart's profile. The picture was still there, the caption mocking me. The likes were already climbing. 200, 300, 500. People were commenting, "Ah, the sweetest family. You're such an amazing mom, V. The kids look so happy." My lungs seized up. I couldn't get a full breath. I tried to pull air in, but it felt like sucking cement through a straw. I pressed my palm hard against my chest, right over my sternum, trying to push the air in. I started shaking my head back and forth, a fast, involuntary movement. No, no, no. I texted Jake. I didn't use full words, just fury. Me. Call me right now. Me. Take it down. Me. Jake. Vanessa posted my kids. Called them hers on Mother's Day. Are you kidding me? The 3 dots appeared. He was typing slowly. The deliberate slowness was another insult. He was crafting a reply, not reacting in panic. Jake. Amanda, calm down. It's just a holiday post. She's their stepmother. She's being affectionate. I screamed. A soundless internal explosion that vibrated in my inner ears. Me. Affectionate? She blocked me. She blocked the woman who carried them for 9 months. She's capping off the day by stealing my role. Jake, stop being dramatic. It's social media. I'll tell her to change the caption later. Let's not ruin the day. Ruin the day. He was ruining the day. She was ruining the day. My day. I paced the living room carpet. It was thin and scratchy, the fibers digging into my bare feet. I could feel the dust motes jumping up with every step. My mind was racing, trying to find a legal angle. Defamation? Emotional distress? Child appropriation? None of it was real. He had custody every other weekend. She could post whatever she wanted. She just couldn't block me and claim ownership simultaneously. That was the line. She had crossed it with cheap, bleached audacity. I needed to see Brooklyn. I pounded up the stairs. The wood groaned under my weight. I didn't care about being quiet. Brooklyn's door was closed. I knocked hard. Too hard. Brooklyn! Open the door. Now. Mom? What is it? Her voice was muffled. Calm. I opened the door without waiting. Brooklyn was sitting on her bed, laptop open, wearing massive over-the-ear headphones. She looked tired, her dark hair messy. The room smelled like teenagers, dust and faint perfume. Did you see it? I demanded, holding up my phone, pointing at Vanessa's smug face. Did you see what that woman did? Brooklyn took off her headphones and placed them gently on the pillow. Her gaze was steady, too steady. Yeah, Mom, I saw it. And? Aren't you angry? She called you her baby. She's trying to erase me. She blocked me, Brooklyn. Me. My voice cracked on the last word. I felt tears starting to sting the back of my nose. I fought them down. I wouldn't cry in front of her. Not yet. Brooklyn sighed. A long, weary sound that made her sound 40 years old. I know she blocked you. She blocked me for about 5 minutes last year when I changed my profile picture to that one of us at the beach. So what are you going to do? Are you going to call your father? Are you going to tell her off? This is unacceptable, honey. She is trying to redefine reality. Brooklyn swung her legs off the bed and walked over to her desk. She didn't look mad. She looked calculating, like a surgeon about to make a precise cut. I don't need to call Dad, Mom. He'll just tell me to calm down and respect Vanessa's feelings. She pulled up a chair and sat down, leaning forward conspiratorially. She's not that smart, though. What do you mean? I stepped closer, peering over her shoulder. She blocked you. She blocked Aunt Carol. She blocked the whole roster of people she knew would call her out. Brooklyn tapped the screen of her laptop. It was Facebook, not Instagram, but the post had been cross-posted. It was identical. The caption was still screaming, "My babies." But she missed one person, Brooklyn said, her voice dropping to a low, cold register. She forgot to block me on Facebook. My heart gave a stupid, hopeful lurch. You can see it? You can comment? I already did. I snatched the laptop and bent over the screen. The comments section was already a mess of polite well-wishers and the occasional skeptical acquaintance. I scrolled past the hearts and the "You go, Mama V" messages, and then I saw it. It was pinned right at the top, just under Vanessa's original post. It had a little icon next to it, indicating it was the original author's daughter, Brooklyn A. Miller. The text was short. It wasn't angry. It wasn't rambling. It was surgical, clean, and utterly humiliating. Weird post. Happy Mother's Day to my actual mother, Amanda Miller. FYI, this is a photo of the children she birthed and raised. She's blocked, so please forward her all your well wishes. P.S. I am 18 and a legal adult, so please do not call me your baby. My actual mother's details are in my bio if anyone needs them. Have a blessed day, V. I stared. The world went silent again. You called her V, I whispered. Yeah, didn't want to use her name. Too much respect. Brooklyn leaned back, crossing her arms. I also tagged 3 major national parenting accounts and the local news station's tips line. And I changed my profile picture to a photo of me as a toddler, covered in mud, crying on your lap. I looked back at the screen. The counter next to Brooklyn's comment was moving. Fast. 1,200 likes. 1,500 likes. 2,000 likes. It wasn't just reacting, it was exploding. People were replying to Brooklyn's comment, not Vanessa's post. User 449. OMG, this level of audacity. Texas mom. Savage. Good for you, kid. Truth speaker. Where is the father? This is insane. I watched the counter hit 3,000 likes in the span of 30 seconds. Brooklyn, I said, my voice shaking now with a different emotion. Not rage, but a fearful, dizzying kind of triumph. What have you done? I told the truth, Mom. On the one platform she forgot to lock down. She picked up her headphones. It's going to get loud now. Really loud. I was still staring at the screen. The phone in my pocket vibrated incessantly. Jake was calling back. My sister was texting. The local news station had already sent Brooklyn a direct message. I looked at my daughter, my 18-year-old daughter. She hadn't thrown a tantrum. She hadn't cried. She had deployed the internet like a smart bomb. The comment hit 6,000 likes. Someone had already screenshotted the exchange and posted it to Reddit. The title of the Reddit post, which someone had helpfully linked in the comments, was simple. Ex's new wife posted my kids on Mother's Day calling them hers, my daughter replied. The sound of Ethan's loud electronic game music from downstairs suddenly cut off. He must have seen it too. The entire house felt like it was humming, vibrating with the sudden, terrible energy of public exposure. I slowly stood up, my knees weak. I walked out of Brooklyn's room and down the stairs. The wilting carnations on the counter looked even more pathetic now. I grabbed my car keys. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay here while the internet set fire to my life. My phone rang again. It was Jake, screaming this time. I heard his panicked voice through the speaker before I even answered. Amanda. What the hell did Brooklyn do? Take it down. Now. Vanessa is having a meltdown. I put the phone to my ear, listening to his fear. It was the sweetest sound I had heard all year. I can't, Jake, I said, my voice low and steady. I'm blocked. I hung up before he could respond. I didn't block him. I didn't need to. He was irrelevant now. I walked toward the front door. The sun was still too bright, but the air felt cooler. The digital war had started, and my daughter had just fired the first perfect shot. I needed to witness the damage. I pulled the door open. The street was quiet. Too quiet. I got into the car. The leather seats were hot. I put the key in the ignition and turned it. Then my phone buzzed again, relentlessly. It wasn't Jake. It was a private message notification from a major national publication. Hi, Amanda. We saw your daughter's comment. We'd like to interview you immediately. Can you call us? I stared at the name of the publication. They were fast. I threw the phone onto the passenger seat. I didn't need to answer yet. I needed coffee, real coffee, and a safe place to watch the world burn. I pulled out of the driveway, forgetting my seatbelt. I could fix the safety issues later. Right now, I was driving straight into a 5-alarm digital fire, and I was holding the matchbox. The comment was at 12,000 likes and counting. It was Mother's Day, and Vanessa had just lost, and I hadn't even done anything yet. The car smelled like old coffee and desperate silence. I gripped the wheel too tight, my knuckles white against the black plastic. Route 17 was already heating up. the asphalt shimmering even though it was only 10 in the morning. Mother's Day traffic was light, mostly just families heading to brunch or driving away from the sheer pressure of performing happiness. I was driving toward the noise, but I needed a buffer first. I blew through the yellow light at the intersection near the old Sunoco station, hearing the horn of the guy behind me. A short, sharp beep that sounded like a startled bird. I didn't slow down. My heart was beating hard, fast and shallow, right beneath the thin cotton of my shirt. It felt like a small, panicked animal trying to chew its way out of my ribs. I drove until I hit the edge of the downtown district. Not the glossy part, but the run-down strip where the thrift stores and the independent coffee shops tried to pretend they were counterculture. I pulled into a spot next to a dumpster behind a place called The Grind. The air immediately hit me with the scent of stale grease and industrial-strength detergent. I sat there for 60 seconds, hands on the wheel. I looked at my reflection in the dark glass of the side window. My hair was messy. I hadn't put on makeup. I looked like a woman who had just woken up to find her life on fire, which was accurate. I reached for the phone. It was vibrating constantly, a muffled, irritating buzz against the vinyl seat. I didn't look at the screen. I just shoved it deep into the pocket of my jeans. I got out of the car. The lack of a seatbelt warning chime was unnerving. I locked the door, hearing the cheap mechanical thunk of the old Ford. The Grind was dark inside, smelling intensely of burnt espresso and slightly wet dog. The music was some kind of tinny acoustic folk that was trying too hard to be earnest. A kid with green hair and too many face piercings was wiping down the counter with a sour-smelling rag. I walked up to the register. My legs felt heavy, like I was moving through thick water. Large Americano. Black. Extra shot. My voice cracked a little on the last word. The kid looked up. Bored. $5.50. I paid in cash, watching the kid's fingers, tattooed with delicate, swirling patterns, punch the numbers. I needed to focus on these small, physical details. The specific texture of the $5 bill, worn soft and smelling faintly of chemicals. The way the ice clinked in the metal pitcher behind the counter. Anything to keep the swirling digital horror contained for 5 more minutes. I waited by the pickup counter, leaning my shoulder against the brick wall. The wall was painted a dull, depressing shade of ochre. My shoulder felt the grit of the paint, the coolness of the mortar beneath. Amanda? I flinched. The kid had my drink. Thanks. The ceramic of the mug was too hot. Thin porcelain meant to look handmade but mass-produced in China. I had to grip the handle with 2 fingers, the thin curve digging into the bone. The coffee smelled like burnt sugar and regret, the way cheap espresso always does. I blew across the surface. Steam hit my face, slicking my forehead with a thin layer of moisture. I took the drink over to a small, 2-person table near the front window. The table wobbled. It was the color of old mustard and cigarette smoke, laminated 40 years ago and never replaced. I pulled out a sticky chair. I set the coffee down. The phone came out of my pocket. My thumb hesitated over the screen lock button. I took a deliberate, scalding sip of the coffee. The heat shocked my throat. A necessary pain. I unlocked the phone. The noise hit me instantly. Notifications. Hundreds of them. My phone usually handles maybe 20 alerts a day. Now, the little icons were stacked high. A solid column of red. I opened the social media app. The post was still there. Vanessa's smiling face, Jake's arm around her, and my 2 children lined up in front of them, looking awkward. The caption, "My babies make every day worth it. Happy Mother's Day to me. So blessed." And then, the comments. Brooklyn's original comment was pinned right at the top, glowing with an impossible number. 57,981 likes. I read it again, slowly, tasting the sharp, clear defiance of my 18-year-old daughter. "Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for the post. We appreciate you taking us for ice cream after church last week. But calling us your babies on Mother's Day is a big swing. Our mother is Amanda. She is the one who raised us for 18 years, paid for the clothes we are currently wearing, and is currently blocked from seeing this post because you're scared of her. I'm not blocked, though. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. See you later." Underneath Brooklyn's comment, the world had fractured. The scroll bar was a thin, meaningless thread down the side of the glass. I scrolled and scrolled. and scrolled. The reactions were divided, but the scale was overwhelmingly against Vanessa. Real mama, bear 14. Ouch. She got schooled by an 18-year-old. This is gold. 3.4K likes. Legal. This is classic parental alienation. Hope the first mother sees this. She needs to contact a lawyer. 1.1K likes. Jake Sue. This is the husband's fault. He clearly allowed this narcissistic delusion. 800 likes. I saw the names of people I knew. Old high school friends from my hometown in Ohio. My sister's neighbor in Massachusetts. A woman I went to community college with 10 years ago had tagged me directly. Amanda B. Did you see this? Call me. The fire was officially out of the backyard. It was a citywide blaze. I looked closer at the timeline. It was 10:18 a.m. The post had been up since 8 a.m. Brooklyn had commented at 8:05 a.m. The initial explosion had happened while I was still trying to find my car keys. I took another long drink of the bitter coffee. I felt nothing in my stomach, just a hollow, vibrating buzz. I kept scrolling down, searching for a defense, for any voice supporting Vanessa. They were there, small and defensive, buried under the deluge. Vanessa Stan fan. Don't listen to the haters. You are a wonderful bonus mom. 12 likes. Keep it positive. Stepmoms are moms too. This daughter is being disrespectful. 4 likes. Then, I saw it. A comment from Jake, my ex-husband, posted exactly 5 minutes ago. Jake Davis official. Brooklyn, please take this down. This is hurtful and unnecessary. We love you. Let's talk about this at home. It was the most pathetic thing I had ever read. Jake, trying to use the stern, private conversation voice in a public forum watched by 60,000 strangers. He sounded weak. He sounded like a man scrambling to pick up shattered glass. Brooklyn hadn't replied. Someone else had. Not at home, Jake. You're worried about hurtful? What about posting photos of kids you didn't give birth to and calling them yours on Mother's Day? Read the room, Jake. 9. 1K likes. The screen vibrated again. Furiously, I had 5 missed calls, all from Jake. 1 from his office number, 2 from his cell, 2 from a number I didn't recognize, probably Vanessa's cell, since I had blocked hers years ago. I ignored them. I leaned back in the sticky chair and watched the chaos unfold. I scrolled further down. The volume of comments was slowing the app down now. The screen stuttered when I tried to refresh. Then, I saw a new name. Not a comment, but a tag. A major gossip account, one that tracked reality TV stars and minor politicians, had picked it up. Drama alert daily. Stepdaughter goes viral. Ex-wife blocked. Daughter replies. See the full post on our story. That was it. That was the moment the regional fire became a national broadcast. I felt a cold laugh bubble up in my chest. It didn't make a sound. It just felt like a sudden internal release of pressure. I zoomed in on the photo again. I looked at my son, Ethan, 15, standing next to Brooklyn. His hands were shoved deep into his pockets. He looked uncomfortable. He hated having his picture taken. Vanessa knew that. She just didn't care. She cared about the aesthetic, the perfect family unit she was trying to project. I finished my coffee. It was cold now, bitter and thick at the bottom of the cup. I considered what to do next. Should I call Brooklyn? Should I post something cryptic? Should I just wait until the whole thing was taken down? I didn't have to wait long. The screen flashed. A system message popped up over Vanessa's photo. This post is under review due to a high volume of community reports. A moment later, the screen refreshed itself automatically. The post was gone. Not deleted by Vanessa. It wasn't marked user deleted. It was replaced by a generic gray box and the message, content removed for violating community standards. She hadn't just lost the fight. She had been ejected from the arena. I closed my eyes for a second, letting the victory settle. It tasted metallic, like copper. The vibrating started again. A new call from Jake. I slid the green answer button. Hello? My voice was steady, smooth. Amanda. Thank God. Pick up your phone. What the hell is going on? Brooklyn. Jake's voice was high, frantic, the sound of a man who realized his image was dissolving in real time. Brooklyn said what she felt. Jake, I said simply. I looked out the window at the sunny street. It's Mother's Day. She just wanted to recognize her mother. She needs to delete that comment right now. Vanessa is hysterical. She's getting death threats, Amanda. Do you know what this is doing to my business? People are tagging my law firm. Oh, Jake, that's too bad. Don't do this. Tell her to take it down. You can talk to her. I'm asking you, as the mother of my children, stop this. I took a slow breath. I leaned my elbow on the mustard-colored table. The air conditioning kicked on in the shop. A sudden, loud rattle that masked the sound of his begging. Jake, I can't tell Brooklyn what to do, I said. She's 18. She's an adult. Her words are her own. I paused, letting the silence stretch, thick and poisonous. But since you asked, I continued, my voice dropping lower, I'll offer some advice. I'm the mother of your children, right? Here's my advice. When you try to erase a mother on Mother's Day, you should make sure you block the daughter too. That's a rookie mistake. Amanda, I swear, if you don't... I didn't let him finish the threat. I pulled the phone away from my ear. I looked at the screen. Jake's name was still glowing green. I pressed the end call button. I didn't stop there. I went back into the app, back to my own profile. I found the notification that said, Amanda B. Did you see this? Call me. I replied to the high school friend. Not with a comment. With a single simple post on my own feed. I chose a photo from 2 years ago. It was just me and the 2 kids, Brooklyn and Ethan, sitting on the old porch swing, all of us laughing, sun in our eyes. It was imperfect. It was real. I typed the caption. It was short. It was brutal. My kids. My Mother's Day. Thank you, Brooklyn, for always having my back. I hit post. Then I went to Jake's contact in my phone. I didn't block him. Blocking was too clean, too definitive. I just muted him. All calls, all texts, forever. He could scream into the void and I would never hear it. I stood up. I picked up the chipped porcelain mug. I walked back to the counter and set it down hard, the china rattling. The kid with the green hair barely looked up. I walked back out into the heat of the parking lot. The sun felt heavy on my shoulders. I got back into my car. I put on my seatbelt this time. I pulled out of the parking spot, turning left onto the busy street. I didn't look at the phone again. I didn't need to. I knew exactly what was happening. I drove toward my house, toward my kids, toward the absolute silence of a victory won by proxy. The air conditioner in the Ford was broken, blowing only stale, hot air. I rolled down the window instead, letting the rush of the highway fill the space. I was driving 45 in a 35 zone, windows down, the wind whipping my hair across my face. It felt like I was shedding skin. When I got home, I pulled into the driveway. Brooklyn's car was already there. Ethan's bike was leaning against the porch railing. I opened the front door. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I walked into the kitchen. Brooklyn was sitting at the counter. Ethan was next to her, scrolling through his phone. Brooklyn looked up at me. Her expression was calm, almost professional. She had the phone resting on the counter. "Mom," she said, her voice completely even. "We need to talk." I set my keys down next to the fruit bowl. "Okay," I said. She slid the phone toward me. It was open to a news aggregator site. The headline was huge, bold, and black. Roasted. Stepmom posts Mother's Day photo. Gets destroyed by daughter in viral takedown. "They want an interview," Brooklyn said, pointing to the screen. "A producer from Good Morning America emailed me directly. Jake is having a fit, trying to call the school, trying to call the station. He wants me to issue a statement." She looked me straight in the eye, her expression not a request for permission, but an assessment of strategy. "So," she finished, picking up a pen and tapping it against the wood. "What are we going to tell them?" I didn't answer right away. I walked over to the fridge and pulled out a bottle of cold, sparkling water. I twisted the cap off. The hiss of the escaping pressure was loud in the quiet kitchen. I took a long drink, feeling the cold bubbles slide down my throat. I looked at my 18-year-old daughter, who had calmly set fire to the perfect image Jake and Vanessa had built. I put the water bottle down. "The truth, Brooklyn," I said. "We're going to tell them the whole, ugly truth." I didn't touch the phone. I just walked around the counter, pulled up a stool, and sat next to her. The three of us, in the quiet, bright kitchen. I leaned forward, resting my chin on my hand. I looked at the producer's email address, seeing the potential for absolute, definitive chaos. Start with the time Jake forgot Ethan's middle school graduation, I instructed. Give them the details. Brooklyn smiled. It wasn't a sweet smile. It was a sharp, calculating glint in her eyes. She started typing. The click of the keyboard was the only sound in the house. I reached out and lightly brushed a piece of hair off her forehead. "Happy Mother's Day, kid," I whispered. I watched her reply to the producer. The subject line was already written. Your inquiry regarding the viral post. Brooklyn hit send. The screen flashed. Done. I closed my eyes for a moment. It was over. The fight was over. Now the cleanup was someone else's problem. I opened my eyes and looked at the calendar hanging on the wall, completely blank for the upcoming week. It was a beautiful, empty space. I picked up the bottle of sparkling water. I threw the empty plastic bottle, hard, into the recycling bin across the kitchen. The sound echoed like a gunshot.